Okay, welcome to Chapter 1, hands-on exercise number 6, the final hands-on exercise of this chapter. We missed just a few things in hands-on exercise number 5 as far as formatting. Go ahead and put your cursor in A2, and we're going to bold the date. And go ahead and put your cursor in A1. We're going to bold that heading, and we're going to change the font. Let's just change it to gold accent for, I don't know, darker 50. And we're going to increase the size of the font, in this case, just say to 20. We just want to make it a different font color and increase the size. Again, the font color is in that little A and with an underline. That's the font color. The fill color or the background color is the paint can right next to it. The size of any particular font can be found in the section next to the font type, and it's a little number that we can just increase or decrease however we want to. Okay, so now we're back. We're done formatting the spreadsheet. It looks the way we want it. It's a lot more readable than when we first started. We have merged and centered the title and the date. We've bolded things. We've changed the colors of font. We've added a fill color. We've done some indentation and some bolding. We've put things in the appropriate number format, either accounting or percent. So the spreadsheet looks exactly the way we want it to. In this hands-on exercise, though, we're going to talk about page setup and printing, margins, headers and footers, print preview, and adjusting scaling options. So the first thing that we want to do is set the page orientation. The default of the page orientation is portrait. Let's go to the page layout menu, the first time we've used that, and click on the word orientation. The default is portrait. We might have a reason to make it landscape. Portrait's the up and down, landscape is the wider. So let's change that orientation to landscape. Let's go ahead and click on margins, which is right next to it, and we're going to do some custom margins. We have the ability to change the top, left, bottom, or right, and how big the header and footer is. Let's do the top one. We're going to click on this little up arrow and increase the size of the margin to 1 inch. That's the only change we're going to make on the margins. And then we want our text to be centered on the page horizontally. Look at this print preview right now, and then when I click on it, notice how it changes. So now we've centered the data on the page horizontally, and we've changed the top margin to 1 inch in our custom margins. Let's go ahead and go to header and footer and create a custom header. The headers are going to be up here, footer is going to be down here. Let's do a custom header. It has 3 parts, a left section, a center section, and a right section. We're going to go ahead and in the left section, please type your first and your last name. Now we can use these pre-designed icons for us, and I'd like you to do that for the rest of the time in this class. Instead of typing a date, we can insert a date, for example. So that's what we want to do. In the right section, go ahead and click on the date icon, and notice it puts and bracket, date, end bracket. Well, that's just code for it's going to put the current date right there on the right hand side of the header. The left hand side we typed, and in the center section we want it to put the sheet name. Notice there's a variety of options. We can insert the file name, but we want to see the word September or whatever's down here as the sheet name in that center section. So I'll click on this icon and it will put the sheet name there. Let's go ahead and click OK. So now we've got a custom header with your name, the title of the sheet that we're working on, and today's date. Okay. Now let's go ahead and do a print preview. There's again, just right here in the header footer, there's a print preview button that we can click on, and this is how it's going to look when it prints. It'll have our custom header at the top, our formatted worksheet, and it is in landscape orientation. Okay. We could also get there. We went through the page layout, the margins area, and then the print preview, but we could go file and print preview as well. Okay, so I could do file print, and that gives me a preview of what it will look like. If we hit this back arrow, we get back to the spreadsheet. Again, File and Print gets us to what it will look like in the preview section. Now we can adjust the scaling. Let's say, for example, it didn't all fit on one screen. It does here quite nicely, but what we can do is change the scaling. We could have it fit on one page. We could have all the columns on one page but multiple pages of rows, or all the rows on one page and multiple columns. Or we can have these custom scaling options. The other way to get to that same area is page layout and the scaling options. So we could shrink the size of the text and everything on that worksheet so that it will better fit the sheet. Okay, so we can do a custom scale, or we can click on this bottom arrow and we could do fit to one page by one page, or however we'd like to set that up. So that's how we would adjust the scaling. We're going to go ahead and adjust the scaling to 90% of normal size. And that's it. We have completed all 6 hands-on exercises for Chapter 1.